Thank you, Paul. And thank you, Charles, for all of this, year after year. I offer my profound congratulations to Director Burns, Ambassador Patterson, and Mr. Brokaw, and to the last, I add all of our warmest wishes. There's been some discussion in the Navy SEAL community over the years about who was actually the first SEAL. The technically correct answer is that there were 50 who simultaneously became the first SEALs at the moment that SEAL Team 2 was commissioned on January 2nd, 1962. So the discussion and some debate has been around the question of to whom today's SEALs can trace their DNA. Among the American ancestors were the Scouts and Raiders, the Navy Combat Demolition Units, and the Underwater Demolition Teams, all worthy claimants for sure. But in his well-researched and captivating book, First SEALs, historian, author, and dear friend of the OSS Society, Patrick O'Donnell, makes a compelling case that it is Lieutenant Jack Taylor, a founding member of the OSS Maritime Unit, who earned this distinction. Jack Taylor was an avid waterman, a skilled sailor and boat handler, a global adventurer, and an Imagineer who relentlessly pursued new equipment technologies. In both his military and OSS service, he pioneered and trained others in the use of scuba gear, swim fins, and miniature submersible craft, and other equipment that are standard among Navy SEALs today. But he also pioneered many of the air and land operations, after which the sea, air, land teams are now named. He infiltrated enemy areas from the water, he parachuted behind enemy lines, and he conducted operations ashore for weeks at a time. His performance as a prisoner in the notorious Mauthausen concentration camp, and later in bringing many of his torturers to justice, are the stuff of legend. And so thank you, Charles, for creating the Jack Taylor Award as a way to honor some much more recent Navy SEALs. The first recipient of the Jack Taylor Award, most deservedly so, is Vice Admiral Joseph McGuire, United States Navy retired. Few men since Jack Taylor have lived so comfortably in the worlds of naval special warfare and intelligence. Only one has served as a top leader in both of those communities, and we honor his service tonight. Like Jack Taylor, Joe McGuire was a waterman, a champion swimmer and proficient surfer who found himself quite at home as a naval commando. He rose through the officer ranks to command SEAL Team 2, the Naval Special Warfare Center, and the Naval Special Warfare Command. Along the way, Joe earned his master's degree from the Naval Postgraduate School in Scientific and Technical Intelligence and was a National Security Fellow at Harvard University with a focus on intelligence. His last assignment in uniform was as the Deputy Director of Strategic Operational Intelligence at the National Counterterrorism Center during our peak years in Iraq and Afghanistan, from which he retired as a Vice Admiral. And then after a few years in the private sector, Joe served as the president and CEO of the nonprofit Special Operations Warrior Foundation, which ensures that every child of a fallen Special Operations warrior has the opportunity to attend college. When asked by the president to get back into the ring, Joe, supported, always strongly supported by his wonderful wife, Kathy, unhesitatingly accepted a nomination to serve as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. After 8 painful months of delay by a single senator on an unrelated matter, Joe was overwhelmingly confirmed by the Senate. And once in the job, he proved himself adept at leading a complex intelligence organization and coordinating with other senior leaders in the intelligence community. So adept, in fact, that when the position of Director of National Intelligence became open on short notice, Joe was quickly tapped to fill it as the acting director. On Joe's third day as the acting director of National Intelligence, the now famous whistleblower complaint regarding a phone call between the president and a foreign leader was submitted by the intelligence community to its inspector general. Many of you lived through this. In the end, Joe testified about it brilliantly in an open session of Congress. And despite the seriousness of the issue, the media reporting, in a reflection of the time, seemed to be more about Joe's perfect hair and what wristwatch he was wearing, which was actually featured in an issue of Gentleman's Quarterly magazine. But Congress listened carefully. And because Joe held to his principles, he departed with the full respect of both sides of the aisle. Joe served as acting director for 18 months, again departing with wide admiration for his steady leadership in turbulent times. We SEALs pride ourselves on never quitting. The euphemism for quitting is ringing the bell, going back to the method of voluntarily dropping out of basic SEAL training. You ring a mounted ship's bell to signal that you are quitting. The only bell that Joe ever rang was the opening bell on Wall Street one day in 2008. Technical problems later that day contributed to what was one of the 10 worst days ever at the New York Stock Exchange. A good reminder that SEALs should never ring the bell. And Joe never did quit. Always, and always with Kathy. Kathy, please stand up. Always and always with Kathy, Joe never stopped visiting our wounded service members in the hospitals and offering to help caregivers and Gold Star families in any way they could. It's now my honor to present the inaugural Jack Taylor Award to a man with perfect hair, a man who never quit, and a man who holds the highest possible credentials and credibility in both the Naval Special Warfare and the national intelligence community, Vice Admiral Joe Maguire.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be with you. Eric, thank you so much for your kind words. I'm extremely humbled and honored to receive this award, but I have to say, Eric, what makes it extremely even more special to me was that it was presented by you. Eric and I have been friends for over 40 years now, and I have served as Eric's deputy over the years and with him. And the Naval Special Warfare community that you see today is really the work of Eric's vision many, many years ago. So Eric, once again, thank you for your kind words, your friendship, and for this award. But like Eric, I want to thank Charles Pink for naming this inaugural OSS award to honor Jack Taylor for his actions, his courage, and his fortitude. As Eric said, I had the privilege of leading two gold standard best-in-class organizations, Naval Special Warfare and America's intelligence community. Jack Taylor was truly a man who exemplified the very best qualities of both. Unfortunately, he did not live long enough to be known and honored for his many operational successes, the extreme hardships he endured, his intrepidity, as well as his distinguished service to our nation. He was one of the very first to join the OSS Maritime Unit, where he had absolutely no equal in the extraordinary service he performed. An heroic intelligence officer, as well as one of America's first swimmer commandos, Jack Taylor was truly ahead of his time. The OSS Maritime Unit bent the norm to create tactics and technology that had never been used before. Combined intelligence gathering with special operations, much like today's Navy SEAL teams and the CIA's Special Activities Center. Their warrior spy philosophy lives on today in our special operations and intelligence community. I am extremely proud and very grateful that I have had the opportunity to serve in both. As the last speaker tonight, and as Mike Vickers said, special operators are quiet professionals, let me close by saying thank you to Charles and the OSS Society for this award. I'm extremely humbled, and as a man who spent 34 years as a SEAL, I could not be more humbled and more honored to have my name associated with the Navy's first SEAL, Lieutenant Jack Taylor. Thank you very much.